Hello, everyone, and welcome again to our Tuesday's workshop. So we're going to do a quick workshop today, and the topic is about how can we make leverage a lot, and what can we do from building and managing and creating those tiger teams. So before we start, I would just like to know if you can take a moment and let me know if you have used some of those tiger teams in the past. Think about it, make a mental note. I know that some of you may just see this not live but recording it. So take a moment and think about if you heard about tiger team before. And if you have, I would love for you if you can share with me in a chat what was your experience and for how long you've been part of one. Because tiger teams, unlike any other kind of teams that we form, it's created for a specific goal. It has a purpose, and it's usually beautiful because it comes together with a lot of expertise that's coming together to solve an issue, and usually under a crisis. So if you think about the origination, how this came up, and the first came up was with Apollo 13. So it was very interesting to see when all the information that came from those astronauts that were absolutely in danger at that moment, and they were sending back everything that they know and everything that they could see that's happening, and how the control here on Earth got the chance to say, we're going to form those tiger teams. Nobody's going to sleep for a while, and we're going to just use the all of your expertise to come up with the solutions to bring our people back safely. And guess what? They did. As you know, they did. And why that happened was because the purpose was so much, so hard, so important for them. And it was, even if it looks a little bit impossible mission at that moment, they did it. And I want to talk about what is the dynamic in this team. Why is it useful for you to use it? How can you bring up some of your team members to be part of it and motivate them to participate? So I'm going to just go quickly over a few things here. I want to make sure I have a little bit of a structure here for you so you could follow. And if you're going to get something useful, I would like for you to share with me and let me know how many times you have found yourself in a moment where you had no idea what to do next. How many times you have found yourself in that moment where you would have wished that somebody would be next to you, that you could brainstorm, you could just tell them what your problem is or your idea, and have that support at least a year to hear you, or some information that would have been very helpful if you would have been able to find it at the right time. So when we're doing knowledge management implementations, we're always kind of find ourselves in this loop, I would say, where we're looking for the right people with the right information and knowledge to put in the right place so they can provide you with the right answers. And how that is done in an organization, leveraging the wisdom that everybody has, is going to be very important to solve some issues and to be timely solved. Because there is a difference for what can you do in a moment when it's needed versus to come up with something that you think, oh gosh, why I never thought about it. Now it's kind of too late. But you know what? It's never too late, because you're always going to be able to take that information or the problem that you finally got a solution that you're satisfied with and apply it next time. There will always be a next time, or you could pack that up, wrap it up, and give it to someone who's needed and be timely for some other event in the future. In the near future, sometimes even in the present. You'll see a message coming up, you'll see a post, you'll see that somebody's in that moment ready to receive what you already have from your past experience. So that timing is very important, can save lives. As you can see, can save lives. And I think if you got a little bit more moment to think about it in your past, I'm sure everybody would probably come up with a similar scenario where you've been involved and you could just get the right thing to the right person at the right time. And that is very satisfying, right? That is something that we all want to be part of. So let's look at how those tiger teams are formed. So yes, they originated during this Apollo mission, and it was because of this unexpected problem. That was what created the concept and the idea. So unlike any other traditional team, this team is formed specific for one critical project and requirement and the purpose is to rapid innovate and have a response. Come up with something that will work, even if it's a patch, even if it's a band-aid. How can you solve that problem to turn off the fire is going to be very important. And then have time, buy time sometimes, to really look at the root cause of that issue and come up with a way to fix it so that fire never comes up again. So you could use it for that purpose. But how I can also invite you to think about those tiger teams is to use it in your organization when you have not necessarily a problem, but more of a desire to make a change, or to, you know, that there is a way for you to improve a process, but you don't know exactly what that possibility is yet. And you would like to invite those who are very involved in the process itself, and those who are also not only playing a role in the process, but those that are the receivers of the outcome of the process, and also those that are probably at the very beginning who are inputting things in your process. So looking at the whole thing as an input, process, output, and you get people involved, you'll get the idea of how to make that better. So look, for example, for your customers' point of view. How do they receive what you give them? Look for also for those who are going to IT department, who is working with your marketing or who is working with your sales. Look at how your team's dynamics happen and who is inputting information or data into your process, and invite them all to create a better way to serve ultimately the client, or to solve an whatever problem is. In health, for example, healthcare, we have healthcare that will need those tigers teams approach. We'll have people who can be around the table for a short period of time, a determined period of time, 60 days, 90 days. Sometimes you could just, they depend on the issue that you like to solve. We'll say, we'll be here until we fix it, right? So that it's an undetermined time, but sometimes it can be done in 24 hours if everybody's so focused on participating so fully in. So what does it take this tiger team to be successful? Will be adding the right people in it. Not be so big. The team doesn't have to be huge. It works very well with 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. It's going to work well. However, if you have a facilitator to also help you navigate through that, it could be also an addition to the success of that team. And why I say that is because the facilitator can stay neutral, can capture, can come up with a way for getting everything and package it in a way that will present it back to the team, to show them where they are at and see what they can build on top. And don't forget about this, don't forget about that. Somebody said this. So they can build on that. They will be like an architect integrating everything, get all the requirements and put them together for you in a picture that you can see it in every given time, and you could just build on it. So it's very important to have someone who can stay in that role of facilitators. If you are going to be a key player and you want to facilitate, you will have to wear those 2 hats. And as you know from the brain, whenever it's going to focus on one role, it's going to be hard to go back and forth from one role to another, because the focus, it takes so much time, 30 minutes, as I said other times, right? 20 to 30 minutes to go back into that creativity mode. So it's better to arrange this as such that you can have someone who takes the role of being a good facilitator, good listener, somebody who can integrate everything and don't forget about the details, don't dismiss anybody's idea, and encourage everyone to participate fully. And how is that done is by creating some rules from the beginning, that the Tiger teams will have to have a different set of rules, different set of how we play this game, if you wish, that everybody is going to connect with and agree with. And the bigger the purpose, the more important the purpose it is. If it's a life and death kind of need, then you'll see that everybody kind of forgets about themselves, and they understands that they're inside this team to just serve others. So the more you can create that bigger vision of why are we doing this, the better results will be and the faster results. So those are some of the things I would like for you for think about. If you want to compare a high performing team with a Tiger team, there will be different dynamics. The high performing team and the team itself is going to be for a long run together. This one is going to be just for a kind of a ad hoc. Let's just get something quickly done and come up with something that's going to help us innovate, come up with something new for our need. How you as a leader create this need is going to be critical. How you presenting this need to your team to get them engaged and get them think about the purpose and the bigger problem that they solve is going to be key. So let's look at some of ideas here. I know I have an example for, and I want you to be aware of this too. In some of the best practices that I've encountered, I've seen that most of the people are sometimes there are ways in which you get to see the performance going up for a certain person, for say, and if you ask them to kind of document or tell you what they're doing, how they're doing it, they may just skip essential steps because they're not able to kind of document everything. Some of the things are so natural, they come so natural to them that they're not necessarily acknowledge that they're doing it. They're not aware of it. So I'm going to give you this example that I love because it just shows how a simple detail can change the course of how much impact it can have in a business. And this is just a simple best practice. It just comes up from a story true story that I got from one of the largest companies that carry packages back and forth. And they were in big cities as New York or places where they have skyscrapers. And when they were doing delivery, they started to see that some of the teams are doing some of the members are doing so much better than others, and they had no idea why, but it was one particular person who always sent, no matter how much they gave him to do, he was much better than the others. And they couldn't figure out why is that. So what they've done in this case is not necessarily about building a team to solve a problem. It's about bringing somebody else just to take a look at it. Take a look and observe this person. And what they found out was that they were just keeping their key chain, the keys from the truck, on their pinky finger, and they were just pulling the packages up and never lost their keys. So they're not have to go back and forth with the elevator. So a lot of time was actually consumed by that practice, by the fact that he was not able to forget his keys because he was keeping them secure. And he was also very easy to take them and put them back in the car and just leave. That person was not able to describe this, but when they got somebody else to watch them and watch others, somebody else could take a look at it and they could figure out very easily that this was a big, small best practice, right? You could think like this is so simple to do, but had a bigger impact. When you multiply that with tens of thousands of employees, that are doing the same thing, you can get to see what happened there. So I'm saying that because this can be important when you are applying the Tiger Teams concept to identify where you want to do it by observing what is possible. And when you find where it's possible, the possibility, then you could just go in and identify probably a team who can talk about those things, or he, in this case, could be more effective to just get somebody to observe them. So it is the outcome can be the same, improving the process, for example, or adding a best strategy, but also this can be important when you may not have necessarily a way to build a team, but you have somebody aware of the process in that much detail that they can just catch those small details that could become a big savings or a big way of making a change or an impact. So I would just say that some of the strategies that I would look for having your input on some of the case studies. If you have used this in the past, tell me how you got the results. I have some data from organizations that have implemented constantly this for about a year, and they changed their bottom line tremendously. They just increased by 50% their bottom line. So I'm talking about what they have, what they were left with, right? Talking not just it's how to improve certain things that are actually reflecting in your finances tremendously. But how you get there, it's going to be for you to shift your perspective about what kind of people do you have already in your team, and empower them to participate in the company's decision. And I know that some leaders are taking this approach, and they realize that their role is to identify the strengths of every team member and use it wisely. And some are going even further and identify the fact that their team is actually the one that are going to create and break or actually help the company grow. And when the team involvement, and we talk about the engagement, we've seen also results that the higher the engagement, the higher the mission and vision, of course, you know that it's going to impact the motivation of participation. But the leader, the team members that exist there, they will be motivated or not based on what their team lead is going to do. And the leader, it's very critical there. So what can you do to imply more autonomy, but at the same time giving them the motivation that's needed, intrinsic motivation that's needed to participate? I can tell you from my experience that I had leaders who stopped by my desk and they were asking me, what are you creating today? That was my beautiful question to get, right? Because the way I operate, I look for things to make better. This is my natural gift. They were just acknowledge that, and they let me do that. The bigger the problem they gave me, the more involved I was, the bigger the problem I solved, the more I wanted. So it feels addicting pretty much. And I also had leaders who were like dismissing the first word that they can hear from my mouth. So I know how that feels. And and some of those leaders, they were just looking at why somebody else may be better than them, and you could feel that in the room. And although you are not there to prove that you're better, you are there to participate and to just do your job. You could feel this push from this leadership that it's getting pretty much a border, saying that I'm here, you cannot pass this line, I don't want to hear about things. So they were doing exactly the opposite of what they were supposed to do. And those managers, those leaders who are in those roles are going to impact tremendously the innovation and the creativity and what can you create, especially if you are just going to have let's call it a crisis, or forcing yourself to be in the mentality of a mindset of a crisis, just so you can improve and you get the innovation sparking in your team. So I be aware of that part. I will also say that as a leader, your emotional intelligence is crucial, as you can imagine, because this is about understanding and managing emotional landscape. It's not about showing up who is in charge. So effective communication is not only about the clarity, but it's also about the connection. And I've seen that when we connect better, we have to connect better. First, we have to connect, and then we can just build something together. It's going to be hard if we're not taking the time for that connection to happen. And sometimes it's never going to happen. And you're just in a conversation with someone where you're not connected. You're just giving information because you have to, not because you want to, because you choose to. And that have to and choose to is very different. What it's going to create a different involvement, a different outcome. You're going to come from a different place when you're participating in that mode. So be aware of that in both sides. And if you are part of a team, you're not necessarily leader, but you are participating in a team. Doesn't matter if it's a tiger team now or if it's a regular team. I think it's in our power to bring this up to the leadership and to express what we need in order to flourish. What do we need in order to be more motivated? I had that conversation, and I had it at a time where probably could have had it before, much earlier in the game, but I had it at the time when I kind of felt like I don't care if I lose or not this job. So I did it because it was absolutely over my head. If I will have to do this again, I will have it at the very beginning when I sense that I'm not emotionally involved. I can be. I'm not allowed to be there as much as I wanted to be. And I would have brought this up. What can we do as a leader to help me pass this, or just bring this barrier down, or let's just talk it out, whatever it needs to be done. So when I was more decisive about it at the beginning, the process worked much better. So think about where you are as a team member. What role can you play? How much of an involvement? And give your feedback. Because if you're holding it up, you're not going to play fully. Yes, you're going to get probably a paycheck, you go home, but think about what can you actually create and what's the impact that you can make. And I know we're living in probably crazy times right now, but if you are courageous and if you are working with a leadership who's appreciating your input, you want to take that chance. You want to be as upfront as possible, because that's going to be making the change that they will also need, and you can create a win-win-win situation for everybody. So let me think about what else I could add here. I think the innovation you gotta when you think about traditional, some kind of a mindset, you think about how can you innovate differently. You want kind of to must unlearn certain things. We've been probably trained, our brain, it was in a certain way, in a certain environment, and that put on us certain rules that we think that we can break. And that is very detrimental to the innovation process. So if you can break free from some traditional patterns, you will find that the creative thinking is going to happen much better and much with flowing to your company, to your organizations. And if you can just get some of those techniques, you will be so much better at creating solutions and come up with creative solutions for any problems that you're getting. But there are some techniques that you could use, and I will create a special workshop for that, because this is a topic on itself that can be much it deserves more attention and focus. So other things that I would like to say about those tiger teams, as you experience them, bring that learning before, during, and after framework in it, because it will be useful to see how you can pass from one team to another, what has happened, how can we become better. Continuous improvement is part of this. This is why we're doing this. This is why those those teams are formed with the intention, and most of the time is to keep us in a bigger picture, which bigger picture has a motto: how can we become better next day, and what can we do something to be better, and what is that, how can we contribute, how can we impact the customer, the clients, whoever who we may need to serve. So I think if you also think about the global impact, we do have a need to create this. The challenges, all the challenges that do exist, are going to benefit from the diverse perspective that exists. So the more diverse you can create that team, the more perspective you can have. I think that you're going to find out, I know you're going to find out, that the result, it's much a better quality, and it's more what you'll see that is lasting, and it's something that's going to help you keep that on the front hand as a benefit and a success for a longer time. So do you have any questions? I'm willing to see if you have any questions, and if you like to talk about this more, I would love for you to be open to send a quick text. I'm here to help you with all the details that I have, and to tell you that facilitating those tiger teams, it's something that I found very intriguing, and I love to do it. I think it's something that we'll all benefit from learning the dynamics and keeping someone who can across from the bigger goal that we have. It's going to be beneficial for achieving that goal much faster. So let me know if I can help with anything, and I will see you next Tuesday, which actually, let me say that again, next Tuesday, it's going to be 26th, a day after Christmas. So we're going to have a very quick intervention then, and I would love to say to everyone that because we have this beautiful celebration coming up, I will wish that everyone will have a Merry Christmas, and they will have time to reflect, to connect with the families, connect back to their mission. And I know at the end of the year, emotions and everything may be a little bit different, and you could just go through that by adding a little bit time for yourself and for introspection, looking at what is that you like to accomplish differently for the next year and the next few months that are coming up. So if you have a larger need for projecting a bigger vision for yourself, or even help you for the next few couple of months or through the season, let me know. I'm happy to help. See you everyone, and have a great Christmas. Bye bye.